connected with homeless advocates, homeless people, people in the encampments to find out what was really going on. And her visit was in January 2017. Her name is Leilani Farah. She met with unhoused people, people living in encampments, with housing advocates, and people impacted by the housing crisis in the Bay Area. This was part of a global investigation that included visits to developing countries in the global south, as well as some of the world's wealthiest countries. This work by the United Nations is rooted in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and in the conviction that the right to adequate housing is a fundamental human right to which all people are entitled and to which all governments and societies are accountable. Adequate housing is housing with dignity, with stability, housing with access to sanitation, running water, electricity, and safety. So during her visit, the Special Rapporteur found that conditions for unhoused people in Oakland are systematically cruel, and that many poorer countries with fewer resources treat unhoused people with far greater compassion and dignity. In October 2018, the United Nations released her findings in a summary report, and referring to the encampments and other temporary housing as informal settlements, the report finds, quote, the scope and severity of the living conditions in informal settlements make this one of the most pervasive violations of human rights globally. The world has come to accept the unacceptable. It is a human rights imperative that informal settlements be upgraded to meet basic standards of human dignity. I'm going to talk a little faster to keep in my time. The report says that, quote, in affluent countries, the law not only prevents the construction of rudimentary shelter by those who are homeless, it criminalizes them, sometimes even for eating and sleeping. And writing specifically about Oakland, the United Nations report says, quote, attempting to discourage residents from remaining in informal settlements or encampments by denying access to water, sanitation, and health services and other basic necessities, as has been witnessed by the Special Rapporteur in San Francisco and Oakland, California, United States of America, constitutes cruel and inhuman treatment and is a violation of multiple human rights, including the rights to life, housing, health, and water and sanitation. Such punitive policies must be prohibited in law and immediately ceased. So, the great Jewish teacher Maimonides lived in Spain in the 12th century, and his compilation of law, the Mishnah Torah, is still studied to this day. And that code teaches, I'm changing a little bit the language to make it more gender inclusive, but the code says, we're commanded to give a poor person what he or she needs. If she lacks clothes, we should clothe her. If he lacks household utensils, we should purchase them for him. If they are unmarried, we should help them marry. With regard to an orphan, for whom people are seeking to find a wife for him to marry, first we rent for him a house. We provide for him a bed and all his household necessities, and then we seek to find a wife for him to marry. When a poor person comes and asks for his needs to be met and the giver does not have the financial capacity, she should give to him according to her financial capacity. And lastly, everybody's obligated to give. Not just people who have, even the poorest person who relies on everybody else for their sustenance is required to give, because the giving is not just about the humanity of the person that's receiving, the giving is really about the humanity of the person who's giving. My name is Deb Norley, my pronouns are they and them. You can find me at Kahila Community Synagogue.
Thank you so much to our faith leaders. Thank you for being here today. Now I'm calling forth those of you who impacted people who are featured speakers. If you all come and have a seat here, please. And while they're coming, I want to remind you that there is water back at the table here if you need it. Also, I've been asked to fill out the pledge forms if you haven't. Those will be collected soon. All right.
Hello, my name is Nell Ihand, and I currently live at 1127 Wellington Street in the community of Oakland, California. I'm a black lesbian woman in my early 60s, and I'm here to give my statement about the struggle about housing. I'm grateful to be housed in Oakland, in a place that's affordable at this time when Oakland is the sixth most expensive city to live in the country. I met my landlady in the 1990s when she was teaching at New College of California and I was working at a nonprofit. We did social justice-based trainings and workshops with youth and adults who work with young people. And when her husband died in 2015, she invited me to move into her home. I was so grateful to find affordable housing. I had lived in 6 different places between 2013 and 2015 after being evicted from the home I had lived in since 2000. In October of 2000, my partner and I at the time bought a home near Highland Hospital with the help of several people in our community. She was teaching high school chemistry in San Francisco and I was working at the nonprofit. In 2004, my mother became unable to live on her own in Ohio, and I was really glad to be able to offer her shelter at my home and take care of her. She was suffering from dementia, so she required 24-hour care. I applied for in-home support services, and it took 2 years, but after a 2-year fight with them, an administrative law judge ruled in our favor, and I became a full-time caregiver. In 2005, my partner had a stroke, and shortly thereafter had a heart attack. She was unable to return to teaching, and I became her caregiver as well. Between the 3 of us, we had enough income to maintain the house and our lives. Sadly, in 2009, my mother passed away. That meant that our income fell by 2/3. So we applied for a loan modification to adjust our mortgage so we could stay in our home. But Chase Bank, thank you, repeatedly lost the paperwork and refused to modify the loan. After a 3-year battle, they foreclosed on our home. But with the help of Causes for Just Cause, Global Women's Strike, Women of Color in the Global Women's Strike, Occupy Oakland, and my community, we organized protests outside the bank and poured out twice, and we stayed in the house for 3 years. I went to Washington, D.C. as part of the Right to City Coalition protest of Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae for their collusion with the banks to foreclose on the homes of tens of thousands of people across the country. And I was singing when I got arrested there, Freddie Mac, Freddie, oh Freddie Mac, we need our houses back. So I've basically been living in the house that I'm now since 2015, but I don't have a lease there, so I feel like I'm still vulnerable to becoming homeless because my landlady is 81 years old, and I'm concerned that if something happens to her, what will happen to me? So I'm glad to be joining the Corporate's campaign because I feel like we have the power of the numbers, that we can stand together and be a mighty force. So I'm joining the call on the legislature and the governor to address our human right to be and to live in secure and decent housing, because I'm a human being living in the richest country in the world. We all deserve secure and decent housing. And in this past time for resources to be distributed equally, equitably, so that no one has to live on the street in a vehicle or in a shelter. And I support the call for a moral budget that places human needs and care for the planet above the greed of corporations who place profits before people. The more we get together, the stronger we are.
My name is Nancy, and I was given a few minutes to talk about immigrants. If I don't have enough time to talk about immigrants, you can see the immigrants when you go to enjoy the food. You can see the immigrants when they are claim to take the money from Social Security that they are not able to claim. You can see the immigrants when you see a strong woman that is raising your children. You can see the immigrants everywhere, and I don't want you to see an immigrant that they say that they are timid or shy. We are not. We are strong.
Yes.
I remember my mother saying to us, we are not poor. We are 12 kids in my family. And my mother wanted to send us to get education because she has the belief that educating yourself, you will be able to advocate for your life. And having money is not hoarding money. It's being able to use that symbol of change to other people. And as long as you have money and you have take your fair share, you're not poor. But we came to this country and it makes me sad how our current president is, if we can call our current president, or I don't know how we can call him. But it's a shame that we are learning to be so insensitive. We are learning to be able to pass by a homeless person, and we are able to see how our kids are being arrested and jailed in cage, and we're still alive. I came 25 years ago with my daughter, and I'm grateful that I was able to make it. But it's not because of me. And I am able to talk my language because other people died for me. And it's a shame that we are not resisting the power that we already have. We are not going back. We are fighting for more. And when we are saying that we are defending what is already gained, we are losing. And we are saying that we are poor. We are not poor. We are the poor people. But we have all the strength. And we have to recover. We have to be together, and we have to allow people who want to divide us to. We don't have to allow them. We are together, and we're not supposed to eat the bread that is they want us to eat when they're saying that all us are different. When we're trying to, when they're trying to divide the African American with the Latino, when they are trying to divide us, that's not okay. If we talk about our struggle and we talk about our suffering, we will see that we are together in this, and we are not poor. We are together. We have the power.
Pueblo unido jamás será vencido.
Hello. I'm Kerry Whiteside. I consider it a privilege to be able to speak on behalf of seniors like myself.
Could you put the mic closer to you? Thank you.
Thank you. I consider it a privilege to be able to speak on behalf of seniors like myself that are suffering in poverty. In an area where $100,000 a year is considered low income, my income of $9.51 a month makes me wonder how I make it. If it wasn't for subsidized housing, I believe I would be living on the streets again. I was saddened when I looked outside my window at the homeless encampment. It was storming and their tents were being blown away. People were chasing them, desperately trying to put them back together. It took me back to when I was homeless. I was staying in an Oakland shelter that put us out at 5 a.m. It was also stormy. I remember the shelter staff laughing at us. It made me joke. I walked to the hospital hoping to get out of the rain. but the security guard ran me out of the lobby. The same happened at Burger King. My jacket was soaked all the way through. I was cold all day. There were many days like that. I felt hopeless, and my self-esteem was very low. I spent these days upset, confused, and I felt so alone. Even housed, my life is still a challenge. My cash goes to utilities, medical, co-pays, and medication that are not covered. It also goes to washing my clothes, cleaning supplies, and transportation. When I run out of bus fare, I have to rely on the generosity of the bus driver, who let me on for free sometimes.
Thank you.
I ran out of food around the 14th of every month. I then go to St. Mary's Center for hot food and free groceries. My eyeglasses cost $200, and a bill like that can really affect me for several months. I have to buy glasses every couple of years, but I lost them once. It sent me back again. Even a $25 unexpected bill like a lost door key would throw me whole off budget. I'm grateful that I live inside now. I feel safe, healthy, and I have peace of mind. My SSI check is lower than it's supposed to be. That's why I'm fighting and aiming to increase the SSI grant. It is important to me and to the 2 million seniors across California. $100 more a month will be tremendous help. I would like to thank you for inviting me to speak. I hope you take my words to heart.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Khalil Akatar, and I just want to thank you guys for having us here. This is very important. It's a really crucial message that needs to be passed out all around the nation. It is a shame that en el país más rico en el mundo, en el estado según más rico del país, en la ciudad más rica, está pasando esto. Mucha gente sufre mientras los ricos están tomando ventaja y beneficios del trabajo de la gente. Now allow me to reiterate in English. It is a shame that in the richest city in the state, in the richest state in the country, and supposedly the richest country in the world, that this is happening. That the rich have been taking advantage of the hard work that this whole nation as a whole has put into. It's a shame that my mother had to leave her country because of the dysfunctional system that is happening over there. Not because of itself, well, part of it is, but it's also because of intervention from other countries that want to steal resources from other countries like Africa, like Mexico, Guadalajara. All these nations that are rich and abundant are being taken advantage of, while at the same time, this nation takes advantage of its most weakest people. It is really crucial that everybody pays attention to every story that's being told here, because poor folks are not all drug addicts. Poor folks are not all criminals. Immigrants are not all criminals. You cannot generalize this. You got to understand that if you really want to solve homelessness, you got to deal with it not just in the physical matter, but the mental and spiritual. You got to take the political will and effort to actually change what's going on in our system. I come from what most say nothing, with just my mother. I remember seeing her just do as much as she can, work as hard as she can to take care of me and my little brother. She worked so hard and said, you know, believe there's a God, you know, just keep on working, don't give up. And she eventually started selling cars, from auctions, fixing them up, and to the point where she got her own house. Being a person from another country, she was able to gain something in this country from her hard work and sweat, and was able to show me that there is a God, and that you have to take that will, those words that you speak, and put action into them. You can't just give off nice fancy words and expect that things to change. You got to put the will to do it. You got to put the proof. And I've been living in the street with my mother, and not just Oakland, but all over California. And like I said, this is not just a Bay Area thing. This is a nationwide thing. A lot of folks are dealing with this, and it's unfair that those in position of power have used their position just as an image. And I think it is now time that if you really believe in the words you say, if you really believe in supporting homeless folks, then just do it. It's as simple as taking one step. It's as simple as giving out, I'm surprised that it has to be said, it's something that you should already know. I like my God is in every faith, is in every people, it's everywhere, every action and reaction. So I believe that we all know by conscience that there's a problem out there. And I think that we all, as a conscience, should put those people that are being put in a position of power and let it be known that we are united. It would be so important. I mean, imagine if unhoused folks all over the Bay Area were to move as one, speak as one. You would see true power. You would see the voice of a broken system, a broken, dysfunctional family, and you would be able to really make a change. And I believe in this Support Big Four campaign. I am deeply thankful for all and everyone who has taken a part of this, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Hello. I'm going to read a statement. My name is Francesca. I'm a young Filipino woman from San Francisco. Since a young age, I have been involved in underground street economy. Shortly after I started middle school, my parents divorced and my mother became a single mom when I was 11. Eventually, my mother became unemployed and we struggled with poverty. I ran away when I was just 14 and I started to sell drugs to support myself. I was not able to get a legal job because I was underage, and most of my friends who could work did not make enough money for all of us to survive. So we sold drugs to help supplement the cost of living. Many of my peers were criminalized and incarcerated for trying to survive. When I was 19, I was arrested and convicted of several misdemeanors. I joined youth employment programs and tried my best to support myself through legal work. Despite all the hard work I had put in those jobs, I still had to sell some drugs on the side to pay bills. Now with my criminal background, many employers will not hire me, so I wasn't able to get jobs that paid better. I eventually found a job that did not discriminate against me for my convictions and offered me full employment with health benefits. But then I lost that job and suddenly found myself without any income or health insurance. I then got back into the underground economy, but this time I was returning as a sex worker. I found that sex work was a better paid job for the most part, and I only had to pick up one other part-time gig on the side to supplement. I discovered that no matter where I worked, I had to work more than one job to survive. Being a brown, queer, and young woman with a criminal record created barriers for me that led me to continue living in poverty. Shortly after I began sex work, Trump became president and passed a law that deepened the criminalization of sex work, so that now the sites I was using to advertise on were being shut down and censored. This made the work environment much more dangerous by pushing more sex workers onto the streets, where we are more vulnerable to violence. Women of color, both trans and cis, are more likely to work the streets, making us the visible targets for arrest and harassment. When we are arrested for trying to survive, it creates a record that further hinders our chances of finding other employment, trapping us in poverty and prostitution. Many of the women I work with are mothers, pushed into sex work to help support families. I'm glad there's a growing movement to decriminalize sex work, to address the terrible injustices women face. I'm part of that movement. We are living in a country that has resources to fund a $716 billion military defense budget. I'm sure we can reallocate those resources to help dismantle poverty. If there were more resources to help us support ourselves and our families in the wealthiest country in the world, then we could leave prostitution and escape poverty. I'm really glad for the Poor People's Campaign, building this movement against poverty.
Thank you to all of our impacted people who spoke. Thank you so much for sharing your life. Our next speaker is another faith leader, and I will let her introduce herself.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zahra Dalu, and I'm here on behalf of the Council on American Islamic Relations, the nation's largest American Muslim civil rights organization, one that understands that our freedom is bound up together, and that when we fight for justice, we cannot fight for just us. Like you, I am humbled to be sitting in this audience today to hear from people who are directly impacted, who have shared with us that our society punishes people for far too long, that one mistake, one targeting by the police, one criminal conviction can follow someone for the rest of their lives, that all of us are just one crisis away from being unhoused, never homeless but without security, but without constantly knowing where our next meal will come from. I was reminded by the speakers today that people like my parents and so many others amongst us came here as immigrants, seeking the American dream, forgetting that this land that we stand on was stolen from others. Thank you. And still, we stand strong. And then I heard from speakers who reminded us that our parents should never have to worry about where they will go home tonight, that they should not work their whole lives and then live paycheck to paycheck, running out of food in the middle of the month. My faith teaches me that I am not a believer if my stomach is full while that of my neighbors goes hungry. That I am not a believer if my neighbors go to sleep hungry. And today we know that in Oakland, San Jose, in San Francisco, in Palo Alto, all over the Bay Area, our neighbors go to sleep hungry. Our neighbors go to sleep cold. Our neighbors go to sleep at risk of physical harm. By the police, by gentrifiers, by who? And so I am humbled to be here with you today as we move forward on a moral call to action. My privilege, my wealth, my safety will not come with me when I pass. What will come with me is what I did, what work I did, how I gave up what I could to ensure that my neighbors would not go to sleep hungry. They teach us when we fundraise as Muslims to say that we must give from what we love. That is the test of true belief. And so I ask myself, do I give my old shoes or my new shoes? Do I give my change or do I give up the fancy meal I had with friends? Do I live in a space that I am slightly tight in, or am I living comfortably? Our moral call as residents in the Bay Area is to take action, to center the people who are impacted, to center the people who we are exactly like. We are not better, we are not worse, we are just differently situated. And so what we will take with us is what we do after today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm holding up a piece of paper and I'll tell you in a minute why. And I'll tell you why I'm here. My name is Margaret Prescott. Yeah, there's somebody. Probably recognizing the national broadcast I host on Pacifica Radio. Comes out of KPFK, Sojourner Truth. And I'm proud that KPFK is the media sponsor for the Poor People's Campaign Truth and Poverty Tour in California. I'm also part of the coordinating group of the Poor People's Campaign in California, representing women of color in the Global Women's Strike, which is a national partner of the Poor People's Campaign, and also with the National Welfare Rights Union. And I want you again to thank these people. You know what? Y'all kind of quiet up in here. And I want to hear some noise right now. This is what it's about. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to every one of you for sharing your story. And for living what this campaign is all about. Thank you. I also, and thank you, the audience, for being here. That's what I like. That's what I like. I also want to acknowledge, in the Poor People's Campaign, where Reverend Barbara and Reverend Liz Theo Harris, they always talk about lifting up the voices of those impacted. Now, I grew up in the global South. No running water, no electricity, and maybe one meal a day. So I consider myself an impacted person. I'm an immigrant to this country. And I am with the Poor People's Campaign. Rory Taylor, who's the national president of the Welfare Rights Union, she said, we're with the Poor People's Campaign all the way. And we are with it all the way. I want to, before I tell you why, and why I have this piece of paper, to acknowledge some people in the room, because they have charged us. The platform goes to people who have been impacted, to the faith leaders. Thank you to the faith leaders who have spoken today. The Christian faith, the Muslim faith, the Jewish faith. Thank you so very much for being here. It's important. We also invite elected officials to be here. Not to come and speak or to campaign, but to listen. And hopefully to take what they have heard and do something about it. Y'all hear me now? I want to acknowledge that Senator Harris, I understand that she has sent some representatives, is that right? Or was that a rumor somewhere? Okay, representing Senator Harris's office. Well, you know what she's doing right now, right? Thank you for being here and for listening. And I also want to acknowledge a sister who's been in the House around here for a very, very long time, Congresswoman Representative Barbara Lee. She's actually here. Thank you. and my friend and colleague in struggle, Mr. Danny Glover, have sent greetings to all of you, to Kamala Harris's office, and to Congresswoman Barbara Lee. He's not able to be here, but he's going to try to get up to Fresno to the hearing, and sends greetings to all of you who have spoken and all of you who are here. Now, I'll tell you why I'm holding this piece of paper. I'm a little emotional today because I just came back early. I came back a day early from the most impoverished place in the Americas, which is Haiti. I was not only in Haiti, but I was in La Saline, where government-sponsored massacres are taking place. The people who are dying are in the numbers we have not seen since the brutal Duvalier regime. I was in La Saline, listening to the mothers whose sons were chopped to death, to the women who the father of their children were burned alive. I was taken to a home where a pregnant woman, the skeleton was still there, the smell was still there. She was burned alive and she was pregnant. Why? Because La Saline has a history of resistance in Haiti going back to the Haitian Revolution, and they're saying, no, we're not going to take this poverty and we're not going to take this corruption. So they have been at the forefront of the protests going on in Haiti, and they have asked us to come back here and tell the Congressional Black Caucus, to tell everybody here what is happening to them, because they are dying. That's what's going on in the hundreds. But I came back early. You know why? Because we're not going to be able to stop the massacres that are happening in La Saline, or in Palestine, or in Yemen, or in Honduras, or anywhere in this world. If we don't deal with what's happening right here in the belly of the beast, if we don't build a whole, that's what we have to do. That is our job, that is our charge. We can't just cry, and I try to lie and barely sleep because I still see those images. So I'm asking each and every one of y'all to do something right now. That's why I'm with the Poor People's Campaign. Because we can't stay in our silos. We can't just stay by ourselves as black people, or as brown people, or as people in Appalachia, or indigenous people. We have to come together, find our way together, because we are up against a lot. And if we don't do the kind of fusion Anthony was talking about, we're not only in deep trouble. We're not only in deep trouble, the homelessness we see on the street, but the people who are going to be paying the highest price are going to be the people in La Saline. They're going to be the people in Honduras. They're going to be the people in the Congo. We have work to do, people. We have got to build this movement. We have got to build this campaign. So here's what I'm going to do. Y'all are out here today. That's fantastic, because we need boots on the ground, right? We hope all y'all sign up on the sign-up sheet to do something, become part of the steering committee. Is that right, Faye? And Milan, who's over there live streaming, and Rob, who's over there behind the video camera, and Kenya running around here somewhere, John Troy. These are the people who have helped to build this event. Rachel is with U.S. Prostitutes Collect. That's how deep and wide this is. We're not discriminating against anybody. You're poor, you're with us. We are with everybody. So I'm holding this up because my friend Annie in Baltimore from Big Mama's house, who was at the first Poor People's Campaign, she said, Margaret, we poor. This is the Poor People's Campaign. But we also need some resources, don't we now? We got a statewide tour going on. There are costs to that statewide tour. This is a personal check I'm holding up. I want to know who's going to join me. I'm going to donate $100 right now to the Poor People's Campaign. I want to know who's going to join me. Is anybody here with me? Let me tell you, I paid my own way to go down to Haiti. If you're with me, is there anybody with buckets or something? Who's around? Look at them. Raise your hands if you're joining me. Let me count how many people there are. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's $1,500 right there. Give it up to the people who are doing $100. Thank you so much. Now you can also make a check out for a little bit more, you know. And did somebody say you could pay with a credit card? Yeah, if you want to make it at the back, you can pay with a credit card. They got one of them fancy chips here, you know those things, plastic. But also you can make the check out. This Kenya to Tina, did I get that right? Did I spell it right? Kenya, come on up here and help me out, sister. This is my brown sister over here, you know, black and white. We believe in doing things together. It's a Tina, ETENNA. Make that check out. That's our fiscal sponsor. Okay.
ETIMA.
You see that? You can't spell. What can I say? Thank you, Kenya. Thank you. Now, is there anybody who can go down the road with me? And, you know, I love the way Tupac always said 50. Can anybody do $50? Anybody here $50 to a Tina? Okay, here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6, 7 people at $50. Now, you know what? I need some people counting the money because before y'all leave here, we need to tell you what you all have done today to support the Poor People's Campaign. So please, raise your hand again, the $50 people. I want to make sure they got you. $50. How many people we have here with buckets collecting money? Come on, we need some more buckets. Anybody got a hat we can borrow? There's a brother over there with a hat. Can we borrow your hat? It's red, but I don't think it's a MAGA hat, mega, whatever they want to call it. Okay, if we need some hats to go around. Okay, $50. Etina, spelled
ETINA.
ETINA. Okay, very good. Anybody for now? Don't leave now. Don't leave now. We got some more things coming up for you. Anybody for $25? All righty. Why don't we just, here's a hat for $25. Here's another hat. There are 3 hats for $25. 4 hats for $25. A lot of expenses here. And we're not brought to you by Monsanto. Aren't y'all glad what happened to Monsanto? And that damn Roundup that they're poisoning everybody with. We're not brought to you. We're brought to the Poor People's Campaign, brought to you by poor people and people who are with us, because y'all know that if poor people aren't free, y'all not going to be free, okay? So just pass the bucket around. Any amount that you could give in, $10, $5, 50 cents. No, I'm serious. We did an event in a park, and we were counting the money afterwards. There were a lot of nickels and pennies, and we realized that homeless people in MacArthur Park in Los Angeles were putting in their money. So whatever you could afford to give, thank you very much. I'm going to wrap it up because we have more for the program, but we appreciate all of you, and we're going to do this thing together. Are we going to do this thing together? I can't do it. Come on now, y'all. We're going to do this thing together until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. Thank you so very much.
Okay, my name is Faye Wilson Kennedy, and I'm from Sacramento, and I'm one of the co-chairs. Thank you very much. And Margaret, thank you for that call to action. We will continue to take your donation. So we would like to thank all of you for coming out, supporting the Bay Area Poor People's Campaign. But then we want to tell you we're going to continue to journey on to the Central Valley, to Fresno. We're going to roll with our vans, our cars, and SUVs come Monday. Monday, April 8th is going to be the statewide public hearing in Fresno, and you all are invited. So there's not buses that you think about. Some of us rented vans, some of us use our SUVs, some of us are driving our car, some of us are even taking a train or bus down, and we have one person saying they're going to bicycle down. Okay? We need your bodies. We need the elected officials to hear the voices. We need the elected officials to hear your roar. Can you roar? Poor People's Campaign. Can you roar? Poor People's Campaign. We need you to hear. We need you to share your stories. We need you to encourage your elected official to come with us,
to get on the bus, to get on the train, to walk the ride, to be there in Fresno come Monday, April 8th. Because we're all one paycheck away. You know, my retirement check don't come. I'm going to be calling on somebody who I'm going to live with now. Mario, if my retirement check don't come, I'm going to be calling on you and Joanne. Okay, so mark your calendars. Monday, March 8th. Get on the bus. Get on the train. Get your SUV. Drive your car. We want to see you there. If you would like more information, you can connect with the people here in the house, and we'll give you more information. And on behalf of the Poor People's Campaign, not one step back. Thank you very much.
So, Oaktown, my name's Ethel Long Scott. I'm from the Women's Economic Agenda Project and have been on this battlefield fighting poverty and for human rights for a very long time. I can remember when we met in this very room when Congressman Jones was alive and my wonderful Congresswoman at that time was doing the work preparing for this. And the notice is out that the effort of big real estate, big tech, big money was coming and taking our folks' homes. And that was before we had people ever thinking about living in encampments. What we have found is that we're looking at a failure of government when it is being run by corporations. And so this business of the Poor People United with a vision of turning this damn thing around has been on some of our minds for quite a while. I'm going to bring a youngster here who's going to talk about the effort we're doing at Laney, but also how part 2 of this hearing is happening at that time.
Hi, my name is Michelle Snyder. I'm with Laney College student. I'm with the Laney Tower. I'm one of the editors there. Thank you. I appreciate everybody who is into journalism these days because it's under attack, and so are our schools at all levels, I do believe. Especially since I've been at Laney for the past, this is my 3rd semester, I have seen the college deteriorate. The elevators don't work. People who are disabled can't get to certain areas. Recently, a fire had closed the student center and a whole entire building, so they're removing classes. And in the most recent Laney Tower, we have an article regarding that in the mishandling and mismanagement of the finances in Peralta District. I left a stack of Laney Towers back there. There was also an article I wrote here about the student homelessness in the state of California, but also specifically for the Peralta students. And I'm going to just read this first 2 paragraphs for you. In a time when wealthy parents can spend huge sums to get their unqualified children into university, community college students are struggling for the basic means to survive. 30% of Peralta students experience homelessness, according to the spring 2017 Peralta Community College District Report on Students' Food and Housing Survey, authored by Vanessa Mercado. So that's just the first 2 paragraphs, and we didn't even know about this survey for this whole entire time it's been out. There's been more recent surveys, and KQED has been following up on this, that there's about 50% community college students statewide are experiencing housing insecurities and homelessness, as well as food insecurities. And I'm just going to tell you, I thank you for saying young, but I just started at 40 years old. My twin daughters are 19. I struggled to go to college, and I always assumed that I needed to go to a 4-year to get anywhere, but let me tell you, community college is actually getting us jobs. And this is the trade education that we need our community to get the people that are in this community into tech jobs rather than flying them in from other states and other countries or wherever they're coming from, already educated. People that already have money are coming in, and that is part of our gentrification issue right there. We need to be focused on educating the people right here in our community, and community college is key. But as we are witnessing with the things that we are reporting, it's almost as if they don't want us to succeed. It's almost as if they are defunding us and stripping the basic needs, and so that we will be shut down. We're already in an issue where we may be losing our accreditation. We are in dire straits in our community colleges, and I really believe that we need to put folks, not just in community colleges, but also public schools as well, which are under attack with funding, and charter schools. That's a whole other story. These are a lot of issues, and through education, I do believe that we can uplift our communities out of poverty. Thank you very much.
In these last 30 seconds, we want to let you know that on April 17th at Laney College from 12 to 4, we will be doing part 2 of this hearing. Now, it won't get all the same kind of media and the wonderful impact of this statewide bus tour, but let me tell you that it will be attempting to pull together so many of these students, young and old, who have been suffering in homelessness, suffering with poverty, suffering watching our schools being destroyed. It's an opportunity to come together now. I only got about 18 flyers left. And so I'm going to say, if you want one, and if one of you from a group, please take this. You can also just put it in your calendar. It's going to be a day of not only providing testimony, but most importantly, after that event, figuring out how we can handle the business of building unity in this city. So these damn high-rises that are housing 16,000 residents, while we have men and women and children and families working every day in encampments. It is unacceptable. If you agree, then let's get business. Let's build up in the city of Oakland. I thank you.
I'm standing in for one of the youth from Youth Spirit Artworks. Youth Spirit Artworks is an art job training program in Berkeley servicing the Bay Area, committed to empowering and bettering the lives of homeless, low-income San Francisco Bay Area youth. YSA's mission is to use art jobs and job training to empower and transform the lives of youth. Right now, in fact, this very day, there is what's called a bill. Youth Spirit Artworks is building tiny houses to house homeless youth in the Bay Area. I had the privilege of going over and walking through this build today. This tiny house village project was initiated by the young people in the program in response to the crisis in affordable and accessible housing. There are 1,700 homeless young people in Alameda County, and only 36 youth designated beds in shelters. Young people facing housing instability have overwhelmingly experienced abuse, neglect, mental and physical obstacles, and lack access to public resources. The first phase of the 14 tiny house village project will increase the number of youth designated beds in the county by almost 40%. All right, so I asked them what I could present today as an ask of you. So the rest of this month, April 6th, 7th, 13th, 14th, 27th, 28th, August 17th, 18th, 24th, 25th, and September 7th and 8th will be build days. They'll have 30 plus people each day working on building these tiny homes. Their ask is for donations of food or money to buy food for the builders, such things as bagels, muffins, peanut butter and jelly, cold cuts, cheese, trail bars, trail mix, bottled water, tea, coffee, fruit, chips, cookies, drinks, juice, water. You may sign up back there at the table to the left of the exit door. Thank you very much, and the youth who are homeless in our county. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Amanda, and I'd like to invite other members of the Poor People's Campaign Bay Area Steering Committee to come on up here. Make your way on up. Woo! Okay, so We are some members of the Bay Area Steering Committee, and we are calling on you to join us. So as you all heard, the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival, is a national campaign uniting tens of thousands of people across the nation to fight systemic racism, poverty, ecological devastation, and the war economy. We do hearings, we go through civil disobedience, and we organize to fight poverty and not the poor. And we are inviting all of you to join us. So there are pledge cards spread around. You probably grabbed them as you came in. They're purple or white, and John has pens and extra. We're asking you to fill out one of these pledge cards with what you can bring to the Poor People's Campaign. Your skills, your passions, the organization you're a part of. Fill out that card, leave it on a chair, and we will be in contact soon. Because as you all know, this is a step on the journey, and it's going to be a long journey. So please join us, and I hope to see you again.
Is the community choir here? All right, then I guess we'll have to sing ourselves off. Well, I want to thank Tanner Memorial for offering us this space. Thank you very much. I want to thank every speaker, our faith leaders, our impacted people. Each one of you, I want to thank you for coming out. Thank you so much. David said service here is at 10 a.m. tomorrow. They will be happy to see you. How about we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's standing by the water. We shall not be moved. We're finished. We are saying, we shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water.